each of our lives will have perfectly designed triggers. You know, it could be people that we live with, or it could be this, you know, colleagues, our children, whatever it is, you know, it's perfect that our drama is perfectly designed to bring out the best, but also to bring out the worst. It's perfectly designed, you know, and that we have to understand that too, isn't it? Every scene is, you know, and even some scenes, they bring out the worst first, but then you quickly go inside and shift, and then it can bring out the best. So, so yeah, the drama is kind of magical in that way, if we can see it like that. And generally the thorns on the rose, they're a little bit apart, as if you could step up them. So, and maybe that's a kind of new way for me to look at it, that the drama is going to provide all different kinds of scenarios. In some scenarios, we will blossom, you know, we will naturally reveal our virtues. We will see our power, maybe our power to tolerate, our power to face. And, you know, we need to be seen our progress. But also there's going to be some situations that push the button or push the wound, you know, trigger the thorn. And those are essential as well, you know, because, you know, there are wounds and pains still within us. And Baba wants us to become like real, not pretense in any way. And I think we can go into a lot of suppression. I'm this Om Shanti person, and, you know, I'm not going to allow anything to show. But I can see in this group there's a lot of honesty. And so I think maybe mastery, you think about this for quite a long time, maybe mastery is, yes, you know, when we're soul conscious and we're with God and we're in a great stage and we can move through the situation, revealing, you know, the light, the might, that's fantastic. But also there will be times when someone says or does something, or a situation happens and it just triggers something, you know, it's, and I guess mastery is to know it's not about them. They were just the convenient trigger. They were the necessary trigger, the perfectly, you know, perfect trigger for me to see that wound. And I think mastery is maybe, or another side of mastery, because one side is that you can use your virtues and powers at the right time, but another side of mastery is to be able to hold that energy that comes up without projecting or suppressing it, and taking it to God and saying, you know, and releasing it. And so I feel both of these are mastery, and you know, it means that you need a lot of, you need to be able to use the powers as well for outside, for inside. And that means that you have to be able to lean into your own discomfort. You have to be able to tolerate your own pain, emotional pain, as it moves through you and gets released. And that may get stuck in your heart or your throat or whatever. I think we've all had experience, but not to be afraid of it. I think that was the, you know, and sometimes we are afraid of our own energy, but I guess at some point we created that, maybe accumulated. So we do have the power to remove it, and we've got God to help us remove that. So it seems like we need to be able to do both, and that's why maybe the Baba uses the image of the rose predominantly. Lotus, it's the same thing in a way, isn't it? Someone explained it very nicely, the mud and the pristine, and the blossoming flower, and the you know, and the thorns on the stem, that, you know, we need to be able to hold both to be mastering. We can't be scared of either, you know, because sometimes we're scared of our brilliance. You know, that's the great poem from Marianne Williamson, isn't it? We can be afraid of our light. So to be able to, and we, you know, and especially if you've grown up in a culture where, you were told, you know, if you're big-headed if you show your light, you know, your goodness. So so to be, I think this image of the rose, it's kind of being able to hold both and progress and not be worried if something happens, you know, because I mean, Baba personifies Rava and Maya, but he did say today the five vices are within you, you know, so, you know, they're personified so that we know that they're not the original qualities. So that's very helpful to whatever comes up, to know that this is something that just is like the final chapter. It seems like in this final chapter, and, you know, talking to many BKs, it seems like the pure spiritual self-respect, which we are experiencing. We more easily experience the subtle region and the soul world at times, more than ever before. And we're getting maybe lots of help from not only Baba, but the ancestor soul to experience the bodiless stage, and to be able to really know that we are these beautiful, pure, divine souls that come from the soul world, belong to God. And I think most of us are having more capacity to do that, but at the same time, the ugliest head of the ego is also showing up. So to be able to, you know, hold both, that, you know, there's this beautiful pure self that is really being nurtured this time, but also the last battle of the ego to try and pull you out of that is also happening, and not to be scared of that. And it can be scary, because the ego, when you know, it might not have any resemblance to Margaret or Judy or Denzel or Cindy, you know, it's like another birth could come up that's completely unrelated to anything that you know, and you have to be able to, you know, deal with that. And I think that's why a lot of silence is needed, and, you know, and I think that's the mastery, isn't it? If someone triggers you, as to have your own way of quickly saying, it's not about them, or it's not about this situation, it's about me. And I can do this, I can move through this, I can release this with God's help, you know. So it's like, I guess that's the image of the, you know, pouring everything into the ocean, isn't it? So more and more seeing that these powers, yes, we can use them in external situations, of course, but predominantly, you know, the power to withdraw from the trigger. It's not about the trigger, but we can get so caught up in the blooming trigger, you know, we could spend a whole day in the trigger, it's totally consumed by it, you know. But that's the power to withdraw. It's not about the trigger. Pack up all the why, what, who, how, where, the thoughts about the trigger. So there's the two big powers straight away, is the power to withdraw and the power to pack up. Of these two things, that is not the trigger, and all your potential thoughts you could. So I guess the thing that really helps us the most is acceptance. The quicker I can accept that it's nothing about them and it's about me, the quicker the healing process can start happening. And then you have to be able to tolerate. I mean, what a great power. I remember Daddy Janky saying tolerance is a great power, and we thought it was tolerance of others. It's not, it's tolerance of that energy, you know, that 5,000, you know, that 2,500 year energy is suddenly within you, rising, you know, and to be able to hold that enough that you don't splat it, I call it splat it somewhere, and you don't suppress it, you don't do something to suppress it, because we've become masters at that too, you know. I'll get a nice cup of tea, or your head's in the fridge, or, you know, phone a friend, you'll probably end up in the projection, because as soon as they say, how are you, you'll be telling them what happened, you know. And but we do it, you know, we watch something, we do something to numb, and we've all found our own way of numbing, you know, and experts in that one. So So to be able to really hold that energy and say, Baba, I want to go through this because I want to come out the other side and I want to be free. I really want to be free of this now. And that takes courage and such clarity. And the thing is that if the soul isn't really doing the bodiless stage and accumulating that power, you won't be able to do this bit. You'll just end up in projectional suppression. So the fact that it's come up to be released actually shows that you are doing the other stuff. It's not a, from my perspective, it's not a weakness that the thing comes up. The weakness is when you blame the trigger for what you experience. That's the weakness, or you suppress. That's the weakness in the soul. But to hold the energy and go through it and walk through the fire of that thing, you know, but when you do, and sometimes we don't, but when you do, and it all subsides, you feel a sense of freedom. You feel, you feel so grateful to Baba that helped you hold that energy. You feel so grateful for the clarity, and usually, from my experience, that later you feel such euphoria, and you get some kind of realization or insight about the energy of that thing, and but it takes courage.